All I gotta say is I am thoroughly enjoying the JP version right now. They can keep throwing all these banners they want over at me as long as they keep giving us more servant buffs. We have a buff for Nero, the Saber version. Well, I guess that doesn't really specify, but the 4-star Saber version, Mordred, and Lancer Artoria. I am super stoked to see what all of these buffs are going to be. As per usual, I have not seen them yet. I know it is all of their skills from what I've been told, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to do for these guys, because funny enough, I literally just did a video like a month ago talking about what I think they need to do to fix somebody like this Nero specifically. So I'm like, all right, please, let's see if it's going to be something that really helps her out. And then Lancer Artoria over here, like, this is a servant that I would absolutely love to use. Ever since I got to London, I've just loved it, you know, this servant a lot, but then it's just they kind of fell off because they haven't really been getting buffs. So I'm really hoping they got something good. And Mordred's always been like kind of good, right? Like, she's never really been bad, but she's never exactly been like phenomenally like amazing or anything. So I'm hoping they just tossed her something decent. Like, she doesn't need anything super crazy, but let's just give her something that's at least semi-decent and I'll be happy. As per usual, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for that sweet daily FGO content, as your boy is always out here at like 5 a.m. on Friday morning updates to make sure that you are informed on what is going on both versions of the game. Also, if you want to see me play FGO and other games live, I do that every weekday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on my Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below. But let's just go ahead and start diving right into this. So, starting with Nero, it's her first skill. Nice. So this was originally the migraine skill down here, which was non-existent, which was basically non-existent. Wait, no, this is one that's already buffed. Wait, no, this has already been buffed. So it's not this one. Okay, it's the Imperial Privilege. Okay, what do we have here? So we still have the same 60% chance to apply the attack and the defensive buff. You know, if you do get it, it makes Nero look infinitely better because she's getting so much attack and so much defense. This ain't nothing. But it looks like they went ahead and added a 30% arts buff for 3 turns. What is this one? This one's 20% if you're on field or shore or the city, right? So if you're on those, that's a 50% arts buff for 3 turns. That is very strong. That is a really big arts buff, potentially multiplying into a really big attack buff. Nero's going to be able to do some damage after this. She's going to be able to hit really hard if you are able to get the full 50. I imagine that just being able to get a guaranteed 30 right here, that's going to help her out a lot. Because if you're not seeing this buff right here, you know, it can make it feel like she's not doing super well, because this is backing up like her own arts cards that are already only on 2 hits anyway, and making sure that they can refund some type of NP. So I'm kind of glad that we now have a guaranteed arts buff on our art servant, go figure. But on those shore and city battlefields, that is just a 50% arts mana burst, right, for 3 turns. That's crazy. We're giving ourselves stars per turn. What is that, like 10 stars per turn for 3 turns? And then if she's an enemy, she gives herself crit. Okay. This is not bad. This is definitely really good. They didn't really touch too much of this over here, but that's because if you do get like the attack buff or the defensive buff, it can swing how good the servant is looking. But at least there is now a little bit less RNG here, with her being able to give herself a nice fat arts buff that is potentially going to be absolutely massive if she's able to pull this one on over here. And then the stars per turn is kind of cool. I do like that. She's not exactly a crit servant by any stretch of the imagination, but it's nice that she's able to at least provide stars for herself, especially as an art servant, right? As you guys may know, art servants don't naturally gen stars, right? The value for them to gen a star just per their hit is 1. So being able to gen some stars or provide some stars for herself is really nice. If they maybe want to, like, see, I would say buff the 3rd skill, because that's the only one that hasn't been buffed. If you want to like buff that, or I don't know, do something else with the NP that gives her crit damage or something, we could potentially do something very interesting. This is not bad. Again, it's not like Nero's like, whoa, mega crazy or anything. Like, she's not like, you know, changing the meta or anything. But it's one of those things that, like, if you wanted to use Nero, or you just find yourself using her a lot because she's a servant you do enjoy using, maybe she's one of your favorite characters, I understand. I also like the Extella games. It makes her a lot easier to use, because Now it's not going to feel like her damage is absolute poo-poo stinky because you at least have a guaranteed nice arts buff over here and a little bit of crits. All right. I like what they did with Nero. Not, again, making her like nut-bustingly good, but it definitely does help. All right, let's see what Mordred got. Okay, it is her mana burst. All right, so we go from, you know, one turn of 50% damage, which definitely can make her feel a little swingy, that when you do have this up, she feels really, really strong, and when you don't have it up, she doesn't feel as good. She's now doing, yep, the 3 times for 3 turns, yeah. This is typically what they do with these, like, absolutely massive mana bursts over here that are just free. To not have the Servant be too broken and just having it for 3 turns, they generally try to, like, split the buffs up into different things like they did for Nero, and maybe make it conditional or something, or they just do 3 times for 3 turns. But this is good because this means if you want to use Mordred for farming, she can actually carry this for all 3 of the nodes. If you don't have like a better saber to use, you can actually go ahead and use Mordred because she does still have this 30% battery over here, which can be used for buster farming. So if you just like Mordred, like myself, it makes her a lot easier to be used. So that's nice. She's giving herself 30% just buster crit damage. Yeah, and then a 20% attack buff for 3 turns. Ooh, Mordred's going to be looking real nice because this attack buff is going to multiply into that buster buff. And again, if you're doing farming purposes, right, the 3 times doesn't really matter because you're only going to fire your buster card 3 times anyway. It's going to be all 3 of your NPs for each of the 3 nodes. So this is not only going to like raise her general damage, but it's going to make her better for farming. And then if you want to bring in a more difficult content, she already had this over here where she was already like buffing up her crit damage and everything. But I guess this is just free 3 turns of crit as opposed to like this only being 3 crits, period. So that definitely, that's making more, yeah, this just like feels like another really good buff. This doesn't feel like it's insanely broken or anything, but it's almost like it makes Mordred a viable option, I guess, as like a buster looper person if you want to use them. And honestly, you know, I couldn't ask for more. Just making the servant viable, making them able to be used is very nice. Because what if she's like event bonus for something or something along those lines? It's just nice to be able to use them, right? So it makes it to where it's like, oh, this is just now another really solid option you can use. Not the best option by any stretch of the imagination, but just viable, just a good option. Yeah, we'll definitely take that. That's really strong. All right, now this is the one that I'm really hoping is good because she definitely really needs stuff because this one right here, like this is fine, like it, you know, this is good, like the 3 times thing, you could theoretically use it for farming. Ideally you would have wanted a 30% battery here. They kind of did shoot her in the foot with this one because buster farmers really do want that 30. That's where things start to get ideal, but you know, it's whatever. Let's see what they buffed. Was it this one? This is not it. I really hope sometimes they buff this skill because this is still like this has the capacity to be really good. Okay, it's her charisma. Used to be just absolutely just penis McGee over here, just not good. And now she's got an updated, you know, 20% charisma, that's standard. And she's got double damage mods against lawful and good people, 30% a pop. Ooh, that's kind of nice because you can encounter both lawful and good, and then that's going to be a very fat special damage mod for her over here. Yeah, I would say that this just makes her fine to use, right? If you could find some way to get it to work for farming, right? Like if you're like me, you'll probably just try to find a way to like brute force it or make it work, right? It just might be one of those things. Because, you know, sometimes when we just like a servant, we try to make them work. But yeah, this means she'll be able to do some really good damage because you have a really strong 3-time buff over here of 55%, which is a little higher than normal. Going into damage mods over here, which means usually by like the 3rd wave when you encounter the servant, you can be able to do some really good damage. Because individually, these are rather common. There's a lot of good servants and there's a lot of lawful servants. And then there's a fair amount of lawful good servants. And then now you're getting a stronger charisma. All of these buffs are just really nice. None of them are like disgustingly broken or anything, right? Like I feel like they really went hard on the Caskill and the Jacques de Molay buffs. But then these last few ones with, say, Nightingale, Nero, Mordred, and I always called her Artoria because I saw it right there. But Artoria Altar over here, I feel like they went a little bit more tame on them. But even if they are tame, they've just, the 4 of them have all been really good buffs. They've all felt very strong to me. Again, not meta defining, not meta warping, not like you must summon this servant now. But it's one of those things that if you have this servant, you know, you're going to be feeling a little bit better because they're now a little bit more viable. They're easier to use. If they roll around for like an event, you know, for instance, it's like, well, I was using, I don't know, such and such as my Buster Farmer, but for this Camelot event, Mordred's got like, you know, drop bonus or something, and now she's actually like usable. You could break her out for that event and do some work. So I don't know. I just like it. I like when we get buffs like this where it's like, yeah, your servant's not going to be like the best person in the game, but they're just more viable now. Like, it doesn't feel like you're really having to brute force things to make them work. Because, for instance, I always tell this story, but whenever Castoria came out over on NA, I was testing a lot of different servants to see like how easy you could make it. You could make some of these like less viable servants like Caskill and Nero over here farm, and there was like ways to get it done, right? But you really had to like force yourself to like really just shovel NP into this woman to make her farm, right? Same thing for Caskill. And so I'm just glad that like little things like that are just making them easier and more fun to use. Like, I think this is very nice. I talked about in my hypothetical video for Nero that I would kind of almost like her to be like a boss killing servant, like a boss killing AoE. I know we have like a billion of those, but because she's only got the one hit NP over here, I feel like you could just convert her into something like Da Vinci, right? Like, I think Da Vinci is a very good example where it's like, well, if we're not going to make them able to loop very effectively, what if we just make them like really good? Like, Da Vinci just like drops some nukes on people now. So even if she's not looping, she is doing a lot of damage. So it makes her feel better to use, and it's more of an incentive to use her as like an AoE boss killer. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I think these are all just very nice, like all the buffs, but I don't know. Maybe some people are like, no, you don't understand. It's even more cracked. And if that's how you feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, late guys.